My name is Freddy, and I was born with a dream to build incredible cars. Together with my girlfriend Ginny, from nights spent working in the garage at home, step by step, we came to create Befuel Performance, Italy's first social workshop where unique projects take shape. My mission is to explore every aspect in the custom sphere, without setting limits for myself. When people ask me why, my answer is always the same: why not? Watch the video.
The cable to catch fire, I would unplug it.
Full tank reserve, full tank reserve, full tank. Well, guys, let's disassemble the volumetric.
The scissors? I have to start cutting here. I think the car won't go, even if we reattach everything.
Clean the lens. A little dirty.
They gifted me these. They are beautiful. I take and make like hairdresser.
Can you explain why you are cutting everything out? You can't not say anything.
There is too much stuff here.
We decided to anticipate the fact that you can't fix the ECU that is mounted there. And then we mount a proper EQ master, the object of desire. This here is a job to be done by Gamo. Thank you, ACME, for the kind concession of this superpower unit. Because really, it's a great support that you give us. We will take you to ACME. We will take you and go and see a little bit of what they do, since they have a couple of interesting vehicles. This is the old ECU that falsified the data to the original ECU for the supercharger. Here they used to insert smart cards like the ones in Sky, where he would read the map, in theory, and gave him the new commands. The new data to the control unit. This is a bit dated. So many cables, so much weight, so much honor, so many enemies, so much go fuck yours. Let's go with the intake manifold of the supercharger. In order to get to the injection rails, right?
Yes.
Pull down the injectors, because smaller injectors will have to be fitted since they are no longer ethanol. So by doing that, Diego goes and looks at this somewhat shoddy wiring going around the car for a moment, attached to the injectors, which is no longer its original. You have to restore a moment. Since we are doing the wiring and electrical work, we do it all. Now it's off to repaint. Attention, the injector came away with him. We checked that the injectors to be fitted were the same size and had the same size as the ones fitted, and fortunately are the same, so we don't have to go and buy 10 more injectors, provided that once the car is mapped, these injectors are good for what we need to do.
The cable for starting the fire, I would unplug it. There is a power cord direct into the battery,
Get the screwdriver.
which is clamped to the exhaust manifolds.
Underneath is a disaster. We have to pull down the PPG, which, by the way, will weigh 50 kilograms, fastened with 90 different bolts. And we're going to see underneath that there's an oil leak and wiring harnesses that don't fit. While he is the archaeologist,
This one is the foam. They put it on the gasoline fittings that ooze, so that this one gets soaked.
and it doesn't drip.
And it doesn't drip. So if a spark comes, she really acts as a fire starter.
Burns for 3 days.
Yes, exactly.
It's September 1, and on the 13th the car has to be on the road. Why double pump?
Because it consumes exactly twice as much gasoline with ethanol.
Gasoline pumps, gasoline filters. The problem is that everything here is shit assembled. We're going to fix the whole part of supports.
The problem is that now we have to disassemble the wheel, and this wheel, well, I've got to get to the tank. I've got to see what these straws are here. All the gasoline system we take out, all the power supply, from back to front. If you get to show me the tank, we give him more and less of the fuel pump. Let's see the gasoline come out of here, and that's it. Then we don't mount anything anymore.
Do we remove the additional pumps?
All away.
Are they the original pumps?
Yes, rather, if we get to the tank, I'll put those 2 pumps in there, that they're strong. So much that the one that doesn't burn sends it back. However, let's take all this stuff off here.
Well, guys, break. Let's go to sleep. Tomorrow morning we start again.
You're dirty here.
The tank, I show it to you already cleaned because I save you the horrid. In here we have the float.
Al pieno, ne riservo al pieno, ne riservo al pieno.
And now you have to go in here and see what the gas pump says. This is the gasoline filter of the 60s. Gasoline on the hands is homeopathic. Now we have to wait for Diego. He's back, and I have always been here.
Hello. I feel a little lonely because I missed the scissors. I have to cut all these wires here that I don't know where they come from.
Alexa, stop!
Let's take everything off and go straight that way.
Well, Gamo decides to replace the original pump that is identical to one of the two AEMs that were mounted on it externally. Before, when the car was on ethanol, now he is making the necessary changes after which he puts in him. Gamo in search of the unobtainable.
I found something.
Gross. They managed to make a good rescue, a good job. Now we have two hoses starting from the tank. As in the original, they go directly to the engine with no external filters, no external pumps. So I like not having extra things to the vehicle that you don't need, especially underbody, that gasoline. The more it passes safe, the better. We have ordered aero hoses, so we will remove the classic rubber hoses, original hoses, and put IN10 hoses, the classic racing hoses, like the ones we already have inside the engine in the front, and part of the gasoline line already had. Now let's go and test whether the pump is working properly, after which you finally get back on todo el tank con todo el gasoline.
Definitely, this pump here is better than the original. Already the original was enough. However, we put this one here that is bigger.
Solve the gasoline problem, we will reassemble the whole back of the car and get back to talking about electronics with the EQ Master given to us by ACME Motorsport. Thank you, Matty. We finally got to the engine wiring. The cables will have to be cut from the original plug, repinned all with the new metal plugs to then be plugged into the EQ Master plug and then finally connected to the control unit. After that, we will go on Life Natal during explaining the steps. He will explain why I can do this. I move the cart.
No, you also passed me the book.
Two things I did today, not one, two. Meanwhile, while they read the Paperinik, I'll show you what we've done in the past few days, me and Peter, who is behind this camera. We removed all the wiring that was under the dashboards.
Che c'erano sotto i cruscotti.
Under the dashboards of this car. This is all the stuff that was inside the vehicle which doesn't do a damn thing.
Serve un beato cazzo.
I'm keeping everything from zip ties to scotch tape because Diego and I made a bet that we would pull down 250 meters of cable. In my opinion, we have already passed them. The most absurd thing is also the weight we are removing. We are going to cut to remove the bottom of the arms, off-road stuff, not race car stuff.
Da fuoristrada, non da macchine da corsa.
We are going to move the battery allocation because the battery is now hanging from the frame with a very heavy iron support
Di ferro.
that puts it in an absurd place inside the bumper, unreachable without disassembling half the car. Instead, we'll move it to the trunk so we can reach it more easily and also have it on hand, all reassembled. Does it work? Don't know because I did it. Diego wasn't there, so we'll find out when he turns the keys in the ignition. But let's go back to Diego to see what he's up to. We found another additional control unit that was apparently from the oversized injectors.
I had a different impedance. We needed a different kind of current than the originals. So they did this additional thing with a signal amplifier for the injectors.
So we pull everything off, we take everything off because here we're going to pull off the oversized injectors that are on there because they're from ethanol so huge, and we're going to bring it back. With injectors anyway that are larger than the original ones because there is on a volumetric compressor anyway. But not as big as the ones that were needed before to run it on ethanol.
Have a bizarre idea that to make a car go fast, you have to make it heavier. Never heard of it.
Downhill goes faster.
I'm a little American. I'm doing everything to gain weight and go harder, but it doesn't work for me either.
We also removed Diego, the accelerator system, because it was stuck with a cork. And I didn't feel it was appropriate to go around like this. So it will be necessary to find a latch inside the gas pedal. Self-respecting in order to have a safe accelerator. This is the Viper manual, which is an unobtainable thing. Luckily there was on board. And back in the day they used to make all the pins for all the plugs in the car. We just have to find the engine plug that goes to the ECU. Here it is. See here, injector 1639210. Dickhead, make the car so full of freaking cables. This here is the old wiring of the whole ECU that was going to give a signal to the increased injectors. The original plug of the original injectors is still there. Following the wiring harness, we should go and recover the 10 plugs of the injectors that we are going to mount original, the little lights on the tree. Now let's go and make a big package with all this stuff we take out with a grenade in it and send them back to the guy who sold it to me. Hello, how are you? Open the package. We polished the knobs, removed all the stickers that were on the car. There are only the 3 cables left that we are going to reassemble for heating. We are looking for a congruent radio. We removed all the wiring from the sound system that was going into the trunk. We didn't give a shit. Do you realize that this car arrived in Italy and I never came out of the shed again with the car? 15 days we've been working on it. I know it by heart. If you tell me close your eyes and draw the frame, I can draw it. It's not difficult. You don't even need a protractor. Though really, I can't wait. When we turn the picture to leave here with the finished car, it will be more exciting than when Ginny and I went to buy it. Ginny won't believe it. She's here looking at me and saying, are we going to use this Viper or not? Are you going to finish it or not? Rotates on herself like Emilio the robot.
This here is the gasoline return tube that gets stuck in the springs of the hood. If you open it 2 or 3 times, it cuts, so that with the third, as you give it gasoline pressure, you catch fire, you and the whole car.
The lighthouse also needs gasoline. What the fuck do you think? Is the stock one?
Yes, but this one we eliminate.
Put a washer on it, no?
Is this to be pulled down?
No, I don't take it apart.
Well, guys, let's disassemble the volumetric. Guys, compressor disassembled. Down the compressor of ROI Racing. Mamma mia, what a weight, guys.
You have it?
No.
Come on, you have it.
Look at this.
This is the air cavity turning with the belt. The pulley sucks in air and throws it into the engine. Look at the spectacle. Whoever fucking invented it is number one. How nice, the volumetric. And now, you know what Freddie has to do? Clean it up. Original wiring.
Found it.
This is the car if it was original aspirated.
Would have its own intake manifold with its own throttle body and would have its own original filters.
But instead we have
I'm gonna fucking raw racing supercharger on it, so.
we push like crazy people. Diego, very good, no? That there is this wiring that we cut after we saw how the work was done. It is perfectly fine that it was cut with scissors and dipped in wax.
È immerso in della cera.
Are going to recover all the original wiring,
Cablaggio originale.
removing all the original wrapping dried up over the years. They run the wiring harness where it should run from original, so some plugs under the intake manifold the injectors instead from above. At this point, Diego decided together with Ricky to redo all the plugs, then open them up and pull out the various pins. Look at what state they are in. The bad ones, desolder them, and the good ones, leave them there and put them back in. After which we now reassemble the supercharger,
Supercharger.
so the engine becomes airtight again without risk of things going in.
Che vado dentro cose.
We bring the cables up to this length. The new control unit will be mounted here, where there was the old one, though, in a more intelligent way. And then all the wires will be cut here and mounted 2 plugs from the ECU master at this height so that the wiring comes out of here and goes to rest on the ECU.
Centralina.
I've been here for 21 hours, guys. A moment's pause. Inasmuch as in front of the Viper there is no physical space for me to... I take advantage of it with the fan, some air. I imagine I'm in Porto Cervo on a 30-meter boat. I'm actually on a 30-quint bridge. What a machine, guys. Women and engines, joys and sorrows.
Salve. Vive.
57 of the long thorn.
Diego doesn't answer me anymore. He stopped answering me. I don't even ask so many questions. Type 22 per second.
Name another injector with a small plug.
Injector number 1, plug 28. White and brown.
I have it white and blue.
No, it is white and blue, sorry.
18 long plug.
Injector 4, blue and brown.
We got the spina.
Here's Gomo with the cloth ribbon with the pink ribbon. Do you remember it, Diego?
Guardi, Diego. Totororo. Totororo.
One wiring harness at a time, guys. All this has to become one wiring harness inside the corrugated. And we start again to check that all pins are correct. Because once they are plugged in, the control unit is attached. The hood is closed and the car goes to the bench. There is no way that there could be a translation problem from the old wiring to the new wiring. Because you go crazy. You don't understand it anymore. You don't know where the problem is coming from. You have to unplug it again. You have to take the ECU apart, bring it here, curse. Throwing objects at walls, beating Peter. Good job. So,
I pulled out the injectors. Tomorrow we make him like this.
Tipo così, fatti bene.
And underneath it's not the shit it used to be.
E di sotto.
what a beauty. Only one passing accurate.
Passa preciso.
Now we're talking, we're going to continue to fix the electrical system. And then finally got to the ECU Master Black.
Black, perché tra poco.
Because the time has come, right, Diego? To make the pins, insert them into the plugs and put them into the EQs. See you in a bit. We are really close. Hello, the time has come to mount the supercharger we now put with black paste on the engine. But this is the color of the intake manifold.
Dei collettori d'aspirazione.
Thank you, IPA Auto, that you painted them for us in such a short time. Yellow Ducati.
Gialli Ducati.
They are the... Look, frame.
Salve. c'est la même chose.
All right, now, Gummo will very carefully go through the hand-washing paste.
Can I go?
Go!
Mother and fathers.
Shall we mount?
No. The cheese! Back on the Viper, finally, the Supercharger. The Supercharger.
This one here is what makes the difference in the Vipers you see at rallies.
This one is the one who kills people. Shh.
What a sight, such a large volumetric. Supercharged are peculiar, sometimes they run away, so it's best to put a leash on them. Guessing the ideal location of the injector harness since it is a new harness. It used to go over like a train, now it has to go over as little as visible as possible. Both to protect the wiring from anything. Second, because you can't see it, the wiring has to be hidden. It's kind of like jam without the butter. What the fuck are you eating it for? Okay guys, let's mount the injector rail. The one who brings all the gasoline to each individual injector, and then the injector decides how much to throw in. In the cylinders, depending on how much you are going and how much you are accelerating. The new wiring is exaggerated. Our Black Sabbath, Black Saucisa, and then Black Past.
How do you know Black Saucisa?
Minchia, the #1 rock band.
Gruppo numero 1 di rock di
By Pine of the Palaces.
Papa Bleu. Papa Bleu. E Papa Bleu. No, che siamo sposato ieri.
What a bombshell, guys.
Super duper butterfly. This is the fucking bumblebee. The bumblebee. Ladies and gentlemen.
Supercharged mounted. We finished the gasoline line, ECU, and then
Rev it up, mother and fathers.
I fixed the sound system, which will then be redone once after the crazy run by Electromedia. I assembled the Hertz components. But of course, for the crazy run, you have to do a lot of miles. Clean the lens, stop. Ginny and I have a lot of miles to go, and so you couldn't not have the radio system. Of course, the radio system was all disconnected, had 2 rear amplifiers that served no purpose. Or at least, they were of no use with the system that he's mounting right now. Amplifiers will be needed when the stereo system is done properly. Unfortunately, however, they cut the cables randomly, and so I had to redo all the new cables from the doors. All new cables from the subwoofers in the middle of the seats. Connect a new radio and do all the wiring with tin. Now I'm behind the thorn that had made it impossible for me to travel. When the headlights went out, it was because this plug was making contact. And besides risking setting the car on fire because this plug is down here hidden and you don't see it, I had a hunch that something was wrong because I could smell something burning. We had to order this plug, guys. I'll make you laugh. Look at the placement of the connectors. It's true that so you can tell right away which side is which. But I say, what the fuck were you thinking in America, Americans? What is this stuff? And so now the plug has the same design. But with all the different cable colors, I'm getting here one by one, wiring them up, solder them with tin. Unfortunately, however, I want the perfect car. And the car is really in order now. The passenger compartment doesn't have an extra cable. Everything works. In the doors, we repainted the radio covers. We ran new cables, all new connectors, all soldered. The radio works great. There is Bluetooth. A work as I like. Only missing is this component here of the interior, which is a pain in the ass then afterwards.
It's
downhill. I go on because I have to swear with the dashboard. We did everything on the EQ master control unit.
Black.
The panel turns, all the sensors light up. The only problem we found is the fact that the crankshaft RPM sensor runs at 8 volts, which this ECU and all European ECUs do not have. We are used to having 12 volts or 5 volts, so unfortunately we can't see that value. The other problem is that this engine mounts a 5-tooth rotophonic, which is very strange, which in fact then from generation 2 of the Viper from 96 onward, they modified by putting a 60-2. What happened? That even if we had fixed the sensor, we could not have seen the value. What did we do? We recovered a rotophone from a Lancia Delta and a sensor from a Lancia Delta, a Magneti Marelli SIN 8D, which we are going to apply externally to the engine in order to have precisely this value that is critical for the advance and everything about it. We removed the center from the original Delta rotophone and subsequently welded it back together. Above the outer pulley of the crankshaft that will go under the base, attached to the crankshaft, this beautiful flange. Now we're going to reassemble it because then we're going to study, once it's mounted, the distance where to place the sensor. At 15 teeth ahead of the teeth that are missing,
Ai denti che mancano.
after which you can finally turn on the vehicle.
Veicolo.
Hello, welcome to Freddie Perlum Enterprises. What should I tell you guys? Nothing, we came back. It's time for lights. Because it has a couple of lights just a little bit old, I will show you in a little while what high beam light this Viper mounts. I think he's older than me, devastating. Anyway, we got these lights on the usual site that sells things online, which I can't remember what it's called. The package is beautiful. Even the gloves are in it. Let's put them on. Maybe the lights mount even better. We have 2 high beams, 2 low beams, the side lights, and the arrows I don't see. Oh no, they are these. Do you like me in mittens? Do you also want them in the next episodes? Do you always want them on the channel? I go around test driving with mittens. As usual, the shed is still being worked on behind. They wouldn't let me see what condition it is in. I also took 2 very useful things. Always at this reputable company that does high-end things, meaning you change them once a week. However, for now, until we have well clear what brands to use in our equipment, we buy this equipment on the usual site. Actually, we don't give a shit about this one being high quality. Because it's a wire stripper, you put the wire here, you pull, and it detaches. I also got this one. I don't need this one for shit, but it was my childhood dream to have it. Do you know what this is, Peter? The one who tells you if you're a jerk. He has already played. This one doesn't serve any fucking purpose at all. I wanted to buy it as a child. It tells you how many meters you are away from the wall. It doesn't do any good, but I like it. I'm 4.5 meters from the ceiling. I don't know if it's clear to you. In this way, we burn the camera. Bravo. The Viper has its own system to make the lights, in the sense that it has these very lightweight race car things that weigh half a kilo each. To keep the lamp cover closed, the whole set of lights, but the best is yet to come, guys. She puts on her singlet. Then it gets stuck. I found out the reason for the glove. Do you know why? These bulbs here, if you touch them with your skin, on skin contact, they dull and make less light. With the glove, you can theoretically avoid this problem, which we don't have on LED lights. With LED lights, you can also do this. Last the arrow, hoping they are not too exaggerated as LEDs. In theory, this lighthouse is finished. Now we wait for the keys to come back, and before closing the lighthouse, let's try if all the voltage and voltage work properly. Guys, here we go. We are connected through TeamViewer with Maurizio, EQ Master Manager, and we are doing the power-up. Connected the sensor that Gomo built. We are ready. Can I start?
Remove the arrow that keeps making noise.
Is the fucking alarm that we are going to remove because the new race control unit no longer interested in this fucking alarm set. I can't do that and headbutt the horn because if it hits Diego's head against the frame, he'll beat me to death. I should have done it. I've been sitting in this car for 14 days. Salve. Try. We are this close. We are this close. I can feel her wanting to leave.
Colpire.